How to Succeed podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is Kelly Bandas. She is a stay-at-home comedian, mostly on Instagram, but also obviously all of the social media channels. And she has a new book out called Rookie Mistakes, which sounds very interesting. I want to dive in and hear more about that, Kelly. But you can find that on Amazon or any retailer where you can get books. Now, if you want to learn more about Playful Humans, go to playfulhumans.com. Join our community of other adults rediscovering the power of play and how you can play for a living. And there's lots of good stuff there. Fun BuzzFeed style quizzes and interesting articles and stuff there. Here we go.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Keep chasing the sunshine and go out
One more woo-woo. I always like to give people the warning there. All right. Kelly, we like to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week is brought to you by Mozart. I hate it when people pretend they know about Mozart and they haven't even seen one of his paintings. All right, here's the joke of the week. Did you hear about Elton John? Elton John recently bought a treadmill for his rabbits.
Did he?
It's a little fit bunny.
That's horrible, but also amazing.
Do you have a joke?
I do, but can I tell a Mozart story really quickly?
Yes.
My most embarrassing moment as a child, I was at a piano recital with fellow piano players, and after the recital, we were all standing around telling jokes, but they had to be music jokes, and someone told a joke about Mozart, and I laughed so hard that I farted in front of everyone, and I've never forgotten it, and I'll never feel better about it. So,
you remember the Mozart joke or the music joke?
Yeah, I laughed that hard at a music joke about Mozart. I don't remember what it was.
Don't remember the joke, but yeah, the results.
Yeah, the result was
So
not
it's
great.
good.
My favorite joke comes via my elementary age children. What is the best part about Switzerland?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but the flag is a big plus.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I have I always forget. I got the drum roll and then I never use it anymore. I lost it. What happened? Oh, there you go. That's for our jokes. And I feel like we did too much now. So nicely done. Great stuff. So tell us about what you do as a stay-at-home comedian.
Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home comedian because I am a comedian with terrible stage fright. So I do all my performing at home, which in the great age of 2022, you can do. You can play at your house and make it a career and not have to see other people, which is fantastic. So I make sketch comedy videos for the internet. I am on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, and not so much Facebook because I'm very afraid of Facebook these days. But yeah, I've built a career.
Like their data and policies, or there's other reasons to be afraid of Facebook?
Oh, I mean, mostly just the people, the people. I mean, I probably should be scared of other more real data threats and things like that. But, same reason I don't post videos on Twitter. I'm also scared of people over there. So I try and stay on the platforms where I feel like people are nicer as an act of self-preservation, probably. But yeah, I make videos for the internet. And over the course of the last 5 years or so, it's become my career.
That's so awesome. And I want to, learn more about that. I did, check out Instagram, and you have some really funny stuff on there. I think the sketch comedy is what you said is best. Like you'll do different bits and stories, or a lot of like acting, I would say, which is fun. And I'm wondering if you relate to this, that I think a lot of performers are actually introverts. Now, we both seem a little bit extroverted here on the podcast today, but we're doing the podcast and we're in rooms by ourselves. So do you feel like that too? Is that part of the stage fright stuff, that I feel like I'm more comfortable on stage in front of 1,000 people than I am in the crowd of 1,000 people?
Interesting. I mean, I definitely relate to what you're saying. I'm for sure more of an introvert. I can perform when I'm ready and prepared. But if I bump into you on the street, like, don't be surprised if I clam up. I'm perfectly comfortable being filmed, but it's the live in front of a lot of people, and I think kind of conversations fit into that category, right? Like the pressure's on, and you have to say things, especially if your job is I'm a comedian. I feel like there's a little bit of pressure. Like, what are you going to say that's funny? How are you going to make me laugh? And that's probably a lot coming from my own stuff, but there feels like, there's a lot of pressure in social situations.
You definitely have to have an answer for that question
Yeah.
whenever you say you're a comedian or do some sort of entertainment
Yeah.
comedy stuff. And luckily there are lots of, funny words. So, if somebody asks me to say something funny, I just say kumquats, or
that's perfect.
something like that. And that works.
Yeah,
But any body part, really, the scientific names of body parts work really well for something fun.
I find that always gets the kids around me. So just keep that in my back pocket.
So tell me about why you even do this in the first place, though. It sounds like you were always a performer since you were a musician and stuff when you were younger. But is there a drive inside of you that like to be funny and be creative? And how did that even come to be something you wanted to try?
Yeah. So one of the things that attracted me to your podcast is that so it was my husband that was a musician. So prior to about 5 or 6 years ago, I was just working, but I was working very regular inside the box job. I was a speech language pathologist, worked with kids, and I loved it. And I felt like I'm not having fun. This is a great job and I'm passionate about it and I see value in it, but I don't feel like I'm laughing at home. I don't feel like my kids see me as I really am. And I was like, man, that feels like a big problem. So sort of just on a wild hair, I started making videos and I was like, I don't think anyone's going to care about this, but I wanted to do it. And luckily other people liked them. Other people thought they were funny. And so I kind of just kept doing them just for fun, for me to laugh. And, I would get my kids involved and we would have fun coming up with ideas and they would be in the videos sometimes. But the real drive behind it, which I think speaks to the point of what you guys are doing here, is that I just needed to have some fun in my life.
Yeah.
And sometimes really cool stuff grows out of that.
I relate to that a lot because I was a performer when I was younger, then kind of got out of it and was like, I need to grow up and, make some money and be a serious adult. And I think that happens to everybody at some age. Some people even terribly young, which is sad. And you're like 13 and 15 and think you got to like get straight A's and your permanent record people are going to pay attention to and stuff and start being an adult. But even with sports and things, kids thinking that they have to be professional at 13 is crazy. But I think that it is fun. Sometimes you need something that's just for you. And I found that the power of that is that that's usually what people are attracted to. That's what can grow easier than if you work really hard at a serious business and take your stuff serious all the time. Then you have to work really hard to get other people to notice it. And it's kind of boring and lame. So other people don't pay attention. But when you do something just for you, that's your authentic self and fun, then people do happen to pay attention to it. So just so our audience knows, and they can go check you out on Instagram, it's Kelly_Bandas. But what type of following, what has that generated for you? And has it translated to a career? And what does that look like for you now?
Yeah. So over on Instagram, I have, a little shy of 20,000 followers. On TikTok, I have a little over like 160,000 followers. So it's grown into, I'm no like Kim Kardashian, but I've got a decent community of people that I think kind of know what they're showing up for when I put videos out. So, it's like hanging out with a bunch of people who have your same sense of humor. And the way that that's kind of grown into a career for me is that I was able to write a book and put that out, via a publisher and sort of more like the traditional route of putting a book out. I don't do a lot of like sponsored things and so on and so forth that, a lot of, I guess, content creators do. And so it's primarily been a vehicle for me to be able to write and get paid for writing, which was like the dream for me. And I think if I would have taken a more traditional route, I would not have gotten there. Like it had to start with the play and having fun. And there was I do a lot of work for free, like I'm sure like you do.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't having fun doing it, I would have given up a long time ago. Because your time's valuable and you want to use it and allocate it to things that matter to you. So I'm happy to put out videos that make people laugh, and I don't make any money from it, but I really genuinely enjoy doing it. And then, it's grown into a writing career, which I'm thrilled about.
I love that. I'm working on a book too, kind of for that reason. And then I do speaking engagements and stuff where I actually make money. But yes, I do a lot of podcasts for free and a lot of other things, game shows and other stuff for little or no money. And I always tell people I would do this by myself in my, basement, even if there weren't other people watching. And in fact, I often do, which is a little strange, but sometimes you have to practice, or sometimes we're just doing it for the nieces and nephews. And that's the only people that it's for, which is awesome. A couple of other things I wanted to ask you about. Number one, let's talk about the book, Rookie Mistakes. What's it about? And maybe who is your people? So if they identify with it, they should go check out the book.
Yeah. My people, to answer that question quickly, is probably millennials, probably of the feminine persuasion, but I think anybody could enjoy it. Lots of nostalgia humor. If you grew up, if you were born 1980 to 1995, like, this is for you. The book is about essentially that you're going to make mistakes your entire life, no matter how old you are. It's your rookie season, quote unquote, of being that age, in that time, in that body. So to be easy with yourself, to forgive yourself, and to be open to changing. That's sort of the elevator pitch. In reality, it's a lot of funny stories from my life, ranging from how I killed my childhood pet to parenting through a pandemic, so it kind of spans the lifespan. I mean, I'm 37, that lifespan. And I just hope that people can see themselves in the pages. Maybe you didn't starve your guinea pig to death, but you walked a similar experience and maybe gleaned a little something similar to what I gleaned from it. And all the stories are told, I cover some heavier topics like mental illness or body image stuff, but it's all told through the eyes of levity and with the intention of making you think and making you laugh.
Yeah, I love that. I love everything about it, the idea and the stories. And sorry I laughed at your guinea pig's pain, but
no, please.
That was the idea. I'm sure he or she is in a better place now. I was just kind of equating that this weekend. We were out at the lake, and I was having fun, and as much fun as you can have at 43 on a jet ski. And then I came back and I was talking to my buddy who has an older car, and he's like, yeah, like, it still drives great and everything, but just the other stuff that doesn't really matter and you don't want to pay to replace breaks down. It's like, okay, well, the glove box doesn't open anymore. I'm not going to get a new car and spend 20 grand because the glove box doesn't open. I'm not going to use a glove box anymore. And I was like, that's really what it feels like to be in your 40s, is like, oh, you know what? Yesterday I could touch my toes and now I can't. I guess I can't do that anymore. That was a thing I could do in my 20s. And now it's gone. And you're like, you can't do anything about it. And you still love your car. It still works well. It gets you there, but it just doesn't have the same features it had 10 years ago.
That's a perfect analogy. And yeah, you still love the car. It still gets you where you need to go, but the hinges don't work as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the door creaks when you open it. It doesn't quite shut right. I wanted to ask you, and I may have just gave us a good example, but that's something that I made a connection and light bulb moment with over the weekend. But I was wondering about you, because I feel like there is tremendous pressure for especially social media creators to always come up with an idea or be posting every day or several times a day. And I got to imagine with a comedian, that's a lot of pressure to keep that thing going. But I also know that it kind of becomes like a habit, that if you do it every week, you come up with something because that's the time to come up with something, and you're going to do something anyway. How has that process been for you? Have you found yourself struggling and burning out even with your play, or do you find that kind of the more you play, the more fun and the muscle memory you build up of doing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I have definitely burned out, and I tried to listen.
What do you do when that
myself.
happens?
I give myself a break. I say,
Nice.
I'm going to take this week off. If my audience isn't there when I come back, that sucks, but I think they will be. I trust them enough that they're not going to go anywhere if I take a week off. It doesn't happen often. You know, I would say maybe twice a year. I feel like I don't have anything. But the way that I try to avoid that is I do not subscribe to having to post every day or every other day. I just release myself from that. And, you know, potentially I lose the opportunity for like exponential growth not doing that. But I think if you're going to do good work, you can't do good work every day, even if it is fun. So I usually post once a week, twice a week, because if you want your shit to be good, or at least okay, you got to give yourself time to be in the creative process and not just creating. And so, you know, I'll try to batch things. So if I'm feeling really good, the juices are flowing, I'll make, you know, 3 or 4 videos. So if, you know, one week I'm feeling a little blah, I have stuff that I can post without feeling like, oh,
That's a great tip.
God. So that's how
I do that too with podcasts. I'm usually like 8 to 12 weeks out so that I don't have that pressure of, oh my gosh, I have to find a guest and do something in the next day or two. And then I just recorded 7 videos yesterday because I was feeling good coming back from vacation and just was like, here we go. We're going to do them. And just one right after another, fire stuff off. So there are tips. I think that's what maybe some people that don't do it don't realize is that you get to pick your own schedule. So, you know, don't pick something that's hard for you. Pick something that's easy and fun. And then you can work ahead. You can collect ideas from other people and crowdsource stuff. And you do have to take those periods of rest or periods of input. And I think especially for comedians, maybe tell me if you agree, I think you have to get external inputs. Like you can't just sit and watch Netflix and come up with a creative idea. You have to go experience life and you have to have funny stuff happen to you for you to notice. And I think that's what sometimes people miss is just like you mentioned, not waiting to get picked for your book, but developing that audience first. I think a lot of creative professions, you have to go make stuff happen. You can't just wait for inspiration. You have to go cause something and, you know, do something to make it cause inspiration.
Yeah.
Do you agree there?
I completely agree with that, especially, and this is more of a social media trend, but with so many people sort of just duping ideas, doing like the lip sync thing, you can get really caught up in kind of just following trends that make your numbers go up. But if you want to be uniquely you and create something new and provide something unique to people, I completely agree with you. You got to go outside and have an uncomfortable interaction with someone that you can come back and write jokes about. And I try to be really careful about not consuming too much of my own genre because I don't want to start to emulate other people too much. Because I definitely have like if I scroll back through my work, I can see like, oh, you were really into like Alyssa Lempiris in this time. You were really listening to a lot of Conan at this time. And so I'm like, oh, it's, you know, an homage to them surely because they're great, but I don't want to accidentally become somebody else because I'm not creating my own experiences.
Yeah, I think that's really good too. I definitely have a lot of influences as well. I got Steve Martin down here and other comedy writers, Jim Carrey and stuff that I love. But I think it's okay to get those inputs, but you're right. You have to watch those and you have to meld it with other stuff. Like if you're just trying one input, that gets burnt out and it also becomes like a photocopy of a photocopy that's kind of not as great as the original. But if you take a little bit from Steve Martin, a little bit from Jim Carrey, and a little bit from the Bare Naked Ladies or Douglas Adams or something, then that's you. That's something that hasn't existed before. And you can create a cool persona of yourself or who you want to be by taking the best parts of people that you like. Yeah,
that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. Like whatever you've been influenced by since way back, that like amalgam of personalities and your interpretation of it is unique to you. I like that.
Yeah. Anything else you think maybe people would be surprised to know about being a stay-at-home comedian, or something that you think is interesting, maybe behind the scenes, that people don't realize when they're just enjoying their content on TikTok and scrolling through?
Yeah, I think people would be surprised to know how long it takes to put out content.
But that's not the first try that they're seeing it. So.
No, and it's not the 400th try either. And most of us, and I don't know, but I would imagine that you might fall into this category, you are everything. You are the email answerer, the editor, the sound engineer, the color, you're doing everything. And so coming up with the idea and filming it for TikTok or Instagram or whatever, that's 3 hours of your day, but you're everything. And so the one-stop shop of it all, I think, is a surprise to a lot of people, that we just kind of are literally running a business on top of, creating videos.
Yeah, unless you have a spouse or significant other with tech skills like you, you're even gonna have to run the camera and figure out how to edit videos and all of that stuff that does take some work, but that part's fun if you really love it and you're trying to get stuff out. At least it is for me, and that's why I continue to do it. If it wasn't, just hire somebody else to do it, but you got to get to that point.
And I'm forever indebted to my parents for paying private university prices so I could get a broadcast journalism degree that I could never use, but I do know how to edit video from it. So,
there you go. You're using it. You're getting your money's worth out of it now.
My degree.
I went with the communications degree because I feel like at least it had like some sort of business tie-in, and it's a nice general degree of like, well, everybody's communicating, but I could also be in the broadcast school, so I could take the broadcast and radio classes and stuff that I wanted, but pretend like the degree was actually usable somewhere else. So that's fun. All right, last question for you. Outside of work, what's the most fun for you?
Oh, outside of work, what is the most fun for me? I feel like either people are going to love this answer or absolutely hate this answer, but I am a huge Real Housewives junkie. So there's a huge social component that goes along with that, like conventions and girlfriends getting together.
Whoa.
It's a seedy underbelly of reality television that I used to be very embarrassed about, but it's fun. And I think that whatever is fun, as long as it's not like hurting anybody, you should do it and enjoy it. So that's my answer. And maybe everyone just turned off the podcast, but there you go.
No, that's great. I mean, I know my wife loves the reality shows, and she loves texting the girlfriends and aunts and mom during the show. And I think, the talking smack about it is the best part of the show. I didn't know there were conventions, though. I didn't know that it was like there's a Housewife-a-con.
There is in New York this fall. I'm going with my sisters and some girlfriends. So it's going to be a blast.
Well, interesting. I will have to make sure my wife doesn't see the end of this episode, or I might be paying for a trip to New York. But are you ready to play a game?
I am ready.
All right, we're going to spin our wheel of games. There are 10 games that it could land on, and you got awkward questions. Awkward questions is the like, would you rather type of questions here, and I got a couple of good ones for you. What would you rather eat for dinner? Raccoon spare ribs or deep fried gerbils?
This is tough because I'm a vegetarian, but we have a pet gerbil at home, so I'll eat the raccoon just out of respect.
All right, there you go. I was going to say we shouted out the guinea pig earlier, so that would be awkward. Since you didn't feed it, but then you eat it. That's great. You notice a prowler lurking outside your window. What action are you most likely to take? What do you think? I'll just leave that one open-ended.
Oh, that's an open-ended question. Oh God, probably get my husband, but then grab the baseball bat I keep under my bed and be very loud. I don't know, bang on the window, scare him away. Is that what you do with a bear? Does that translate to human beings?
Yeah, and I think that was gutsy. So it was try to scare him off or call the police were the answers. And I was like, well, nobody's going to try and scare him off, are they? And then you went for it. So I guess flipping on the lights would be scaring them off. But I mean, what am I just going to like wait till they come in and then react? No way. No, I'm going with yeah, police or alarm system, and then I guess I don't know. Yeah, I guess flip on the lights is a good call. All right, last one, a better one for you here, since you got through the two tough ones. What would you rather own, a bed and breakfast or a vineyard?
Oh, a vineyard, 100%. I don't want house guests. I don't want to be in charge of anyone's gross, dirty sheets. Sounds disgusting. But I would enjoy a lovely vineyard and the fruits of that labor way more. So vineyard for sure.
Great answer. I concur on that one. And you did it. You made it through the game, which means you get a free 30-second commercial for anything you would like to mention here. Any asks, how can we help you? Or any gives, how can you help us?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, of course, I want to plug my book, Rookie Mistakes, available wherever books are sold, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, anywhere like that. Would love for you guys to check it out. Anything I can help you guys with, man, my DMs are always open. If you're someone who is like, man, I want to put out videos, but I'm not sure where to start, what to do, shoot me a DM at Kelly_Bandas on Instagram. I try to respond to everybody. Tell me you saw me on Mike's podcast, put that in the subject line so maybe I can pay better attention to it. And I'd love to, let you pick my brain, help you in any way I can.
I love it. Thank you for being on the show. Kelly Bandas. Again, get that book, Rookie Mistakes, and check her out on Instagram or TikTok, Kelly_Bandas. For more information on Playful Humans, go to playfulhumans.com. Most importantly, share this episode with somebody that you think needs to hear it. And hit subscribe if you haven't already. I imagine if you're listening to the podcast, you can do that wherever you're hearing us or watching us right now. That would be great. And then go out and have some fun. Live your life. Be the best version of yourself, and that will help all of us. So go play, everybody.
For tomorrow, live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
Hey, you did it. You made it to the end. But don't worry, there are plenty of more videos where that came from. Just click subscribe to Playful Humans to get notified about our future videos. Now, what are you still doing here? Go play.